Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that something about your body has fundamentally changed. You open your eyes, you take a deep breath, and then nothing. You can't breathe again until 10 full minutes pass. At first, you panic. You clutch your chest, waiting desperately for the familiar rhythm of inhale and exhale, but your lungs refuse to obey. Then, right on the 10th minute, a sudden rush of oxygen fills your body again, a deep gulp of air as if you've been holding your breath underwater. That becomes the new reality, one single breath every 10 minutes. At first glance, it might not sound so bad. You get air, just not often. But in truth, it would change life on Earth in ways you could never imagine. Breathing is more than just a habit. It's the foundation of how our bodies produce energy. Every breath fuels our cells, letting them burn glucose and keep our organs running. Without constant oxygen, your body would struggle. Those 10 minutes in between breaths would feel like an eternity, your muscles starved, your brain foggy, and your heart pounding as it tries to stretch that tiny gulp of air to keep you alive. Athletes, forget it. Sports would be impossible. The moment someone tried to sprint, their body would demand oxygen it couldn't get, and they would collapse long before the 10 minutes were up. Even walking briskly or climbing stairs would push the limits. Entirely new ways of moving would evolve, slow, careful, energy-saving steps, like divers conserving air underwater. Schools and workplaces would grind to a halt. Teachers would lecture in strange bursts, everyone stopping mid-sentence as their 10-minute cycle ran out. Offices would be filled with workers slumped in chairs, staring at clocks, waiting for the next breath to arrive. And imagine a city street. Instead of steady conversation and bustling crowds, it would be eerily silent, broken every 10 minutes by the sound of an entire population gasping in unison. The social awkwardness alone would be surreal. Talking would become a strange rhythm game. People would time conversations to match their breathing cycles. Long speeches, songs, or even laughter would vanish, because no one could afford to waste precious oxygen. Music would change completely. Imagine a choir that sings one note, then waits in silence for 10 minutes before the next. Society would adapt, of course. Technology would rush to fill the gaps. Oxygen tanks, masks, and artificial breathing machines would become as common as smartphones. Cities might build breathing stations where people could gather and sync their cycles, sharing moments of relief together. Medicine, too, would have to evolve. The brain is extremely sensitive to oxygen deprivation, and those long stretches without air would cause widespread fainting, strokes, and memory issues. Hospitals would be overwhelmed, and scientists would desperately search for genetic fixes or artificial lungs that could regulate oxygen more efficiently. The psychological toll would be massive. Waiting for your next breath would feel like standing on the edge of drowning every single day. Anxiety would skyrocket. Entire cultures might develop rituals around the breath moment, when communities inhale together, marking time by the rise and fall of their chests. The world economy would transform. Jobs requiring physical labor would collapse, replaced by machines. Factories would be filled with robots, farms run by drones, and people would become far more sedentary. Leisure activities would shift indoors, focusing on virtual experiences that don't require much exertion. The environment, however, might benefit. With people moving slowly and industries grinding down, pollution would fall. Cars would sit unused because driving long distances without steady oxygen would be risky. Air travel might stop entirely, since passengers couldn't endure high altitudes with such limited breathing. Earth skies would clear, and ecosystems could recover from humanity's sudden stillness. But survival would not be guaranteed. If every person on the planet were forced into this 10-minute cycle, billions would likely not adapt in time. Infants, the elderly, and those with health issues would be hit hardest. Natural disasters, emergencies, even simple accidents would become deadly, because holding your breath while running from danger would be impossible. Firefighters, soldiers, surgeons, jobs that rely on endurance and quick reflexes would disappear overnight. And yet, humanity is stubborn. We adapt to nearly everything. Over generations, evolution might favor people with bodies that can store oxygen more efficiently, like deep-sea divers or seals. Lungs could grow larger, blood might carry oxygen more densely, and eventually humans could look and function differently, designed for this strange new rhythm of life. Time itself would feel altered. No longer measured by seconds and minutes, life would be lived in breaths. Every inhale would feel monumental, every exhale precious. A person might count their life not in years, but in the number of breaths they had taken. In a strange way, this might bring people closer to appreciating existence. Every breath would be a reminder of survival, of fragility, of the fleeting nature of life. The modern rush of constant distractions would vanish, replaced by long silences where humanity simply waited for air. And maybe in those pauses, people would find something unexpected: stillness, reflection, and perspective. But one thing is clear: if you could only breathe every 10 minutes, our world will be unrecognizable. It would not be the same human civilization we know today. It would be slower, quieter, stranger, and infinitely more fragile. And every time you finally took that one breath, you'd feel it deep in your soul, knowing how much it means to be alive.